you haven't spoken to them and you say they are happy, about the research, about the study, how prepared are they to actually make a change, considering your recommendation?
Okay, changes are being made, but the first thing I want to say is what are the recommendations? Because I'm not sure if I've talked about recommendation here. One of our recommendations, some recommendations are at the level of this leadership of these agencies. Some are at the level of government, because what we find out is that government funding of these agencies is highly, highly suboptimal. At SUN, they were open about it. Government is funding, but the scope of the regulatory responsibility of institutions like SUN is so wide, and what they are getting today cannot do up to 2% of what they should be doing. And that situation, of course, they see these businesses as source of fund to augment exactly. So it gives them.
They keep coming up with
exactly.
Those
so one
charges.
of the recommendations is government should look at how to better fund these agencies. It's important. 2, SON and NAFDAC should come and sit down and talk to themselves in what key areas is our regulatory functions conflicting that impact on businesses negatively, and see how they can, depend on each other in those areas. We had 2 elephant fights for supremacy. The grass suffers. That is an old adage. And some other recommendation, according to the survey, is just trying to say, okay, the authorities in these agencies should enforce some of their reforms they've already put in place. I mentioned human interface, reducing human interface. The online registration should be enforced. And make sure, even at the operational level, at the director's level, you call them, everything is moving. These guys are world class. But at the level of what can I call the operational is still a challenge. See a situation where you don't meet so that people doesn't bargain, PR issues, and some of these pay for transport, pay for lunch. We are coming, and every day they are coming. So the business operators also say they want to know how many times they should be coming. Of course, they may not want to know the date they are coming, but how many times so that this arbitrariness and all of them are reduced. These are some of the recommendations, but most importantly is that if the regulatory functions or the regulatory environment, if it is friendlier, of course, it's a win-win situation for all stakeholders, for me and you, for government and for these regulators. And we want a situation where how much they are collecting from these agencies in form of fees and fine, in form of shutting down their factories and shop, will cease to be a major KPI, key performance indicator of this agency. We feel that at this point, their key performance indicator should be how many new products were registered, this year against last year. How many new product labels came into the market, how many new industry, all of this, how many new operators, instead of using money or fees and fine collected as a benchmark, it should be, I think the key performance indicators should be tweaked. The metrics of their performance should be tweaked towards boosting this economy and towards making the environment a little bit friendlier.
All right, so what we see happening here, and some of the things you have mentioned, the challenges we have in terms of regulation here, regulation of businesses here. I mean, is it any different from what is obtainable in other countries, particularly in other African countries?
Unfortunately, the study did not cover African countries. Why is it not cover?
But you should
Nigeria
be able
remains,
to compare,
Nigeria remains the largest economy in Africa now. Even so, if we are going to consider any country, it's going to be South Africa. Yeah, which is more developed. We are larger, but the institutions there are more developed and stable. And if we look at South Africa, I'm now talking from my own personal knowledge, not the findings of the research. The institutions in South Africa are far more developed than our institutions here. Of course, we have a standard organization in those countries, and we also have food and drug safety. It's everywhere in the world, because the business operators say one of the things we are going to tell them is that let the two agencies merge, and maybe now that become a session within SUN. But going back again, we find out that it may not work. Now, what is operational in other jurisdictions, such as South Africa, is that they have what they call APES regulatory institution. You cannot be NAFDAC, set the standard, monitor, enforce, and also penalize. We want a situation where there is another body that oversees all the regulatory institutions in the country, APES regulatory agencies, where some of these companies and stakeholders can even seek redress, such that this agency is not alpha and omega. You set the standard, you enforce it, you punish, everything starts and ends with you. It provides avenue for some of this. So we think that forming a government looking at the possibility of having an APES regulatory agency is a world-class world-class best practice in this space.
All right, but you as the chamber, how much are you doing in terms of engaging the relevant authorities? And of course, your members, educating them as to doing the right thing. How have you been able to, do that?
We're doing a lot, and we'll still do a lot about that. I want to start from meeting the coordinating ministers of these agencies. We've met and we're still meeting. For example, the chamber met the Minister of Trade and Investment not long ago, not even up to a month, and some of these issues were highlighted, especially SON and NAFDAC, and he said that a lot of things, interministerial coordination is already ongoing. We have a weekly, monthly enlightenment of our members, and even non-members can also go to our website and see how these agencies and NAFDAC and SON operate, their rules, issues about their sun cap, the man cap for SON and all of those. So we use every framework and up to engaging the coordinating ministries of these agencies to make sure that things are done better.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Wani. It's been an interesting conversation. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Right. I've been talking with Vincent Wani. He's the Director, Research and Advocacy of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce, and we've been looking at the reports the Chamber released recently, talking about the regulatory infractions, amongst the regulators, most of the regulators here in Nigeria, particularly those that regulate the industries, particularly SON and NAFDAC, and their recommendation is that government should better fund these agencies. And of course, SON and NAFDAC should actually see what they can do to actually come together and agree on how they can operate so that their operation would not be to the detriment of some of these companies operated in the industrial sector. And of course, they've recommended instead of having an direct contact with these people, there should be an online registration to make businesses quicker. Well, these and of course some other recommendations Vincent has said here, we hope government and those people in authority and those concerned take it into consideration. Well, it's on that note that we draw the curtain on today's edition of the program. Thank you very much for watching, and do remember to join us again same time tomorrow. Have a good morning.